The message came at exactly 3 in the afternoon, Earth Standard Time. Every screen on the planet went dark for exactly 2 seconds. Then the face appeared. It was not a human face. The creature had skin like wet stone, gray and rough. Its eyes were large and black without any white part at all. When it opened its mouth to speak, there were 3 rows of small, sharp teeth inside. Ambassador was sitting in his office in Geneva when the broadcast began. He put down his coffee cup and looked at the screen on his wall. His assistant, a young woman named, stood up from her desk in surprise. "Sir," she said, "this is on every channel, every screen in the world." Nodded slowly. He had been waiting for this day. The scientists had told him it would come eventually. Humanity had been sending signals into space for over 200 years. Someone was bound to answer. The alien on the screen began to speak. Its voice was deep and rough, like rocks being dragged across metal. "People of the planet called Earth," it said, "I am High Commander of the Empire. We have watched your world for many of your years. We have studied your people. We have learned your languages and your customs." Leaned forward in his chair. Around the world, 8 billion people were watching the same broadcast. In every country, in every language, the message was the same. "Your planet has resources we need," continued. "Your water, your metals, your biological materials. The Empire has decided to claim your world as our own." Grabbed the edge of her desk. Her face was pale. "We are giving you a choice," the alien said. "You may surrender now peacefully and become servants of the Empire, or you may resist and we will take your world by force. You have one of your Earth weeks to decide." The creature leaned closer to whatever camera was recording it. Its black eyes seemed to look directly at every person watching. "I have conquered 17 worlds," said. "I have destroyed civilizations older than your species. I have burned planets to ash. You should be afraid. You should be very, very afraid." The screen went dark. Then it returned to normal programming. For a long moment nobody spoke, looked back at him. The silence stretched out like a rubber band, tight and ready to snap. Then did something unexpected. He laughed. It started as a small sound, just a quick breath through his nose. Then it grew. His shoulders started shaking. He put his hand over his mouth, but it did not help. The laughter came out anyway, loud and real and full of genuine amusement. Stared at him like he had lost his mind. "Sir," she said, "Sir, are you okay? Should I call a doctor?" Waved his hand at her. He was laughing too hard to speak. Tears were forming in the corners of his eyes. "Sir, aliens just declared war on us," said. Her voice was high and tight with fear. "They said they would destroy us. Why are you laughing?" Finally managed to control himself. He wiped his eyes and took a deep breath. He said, "How old are you?" 26, sir." "So you were born after the Third Pacific War, after the European food crisis, after the American civil collapse?" Nodded slowly. "Yes, sir, but what does that have to do with anything?" Stood up and walked to his window. Outside, the streets of Geneva were quiet. People were still looking at their phones, their faces showing shock and confusion. "I am 53 years old," said. "I have lived through 3 major wars. I survived the pandemic of 2031 when half the people in my died in 6 months. I watched my country split in 2 and then put itself back together again." He turned to face his assistant. "That alien just told me he has conquered 17 worlds," said. "Do you know how many times humanity has conquered itself? How many times we have destroyed our own civilizations and rebuilt them from nothing?" Was starting to understand. A small, uncertain smile appeared on her face. "He told me to be afraid," continued. "But I grew up reading about the Black Death, about the 2 world wars, about the nuclear weapons we built that could have destroyed our entire planet 100 times over, and we are still here." He walked back to his desk and picked up his phone. "Get me the Secretary General," he said, "and the heads of state for every major nation, We need to have a meeting." Within 2 hours, the most powerful people on Earth were gathered in a video conference. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, and scientists looked at each other through their screens. The Secretary General, a calm woman named, spoke first. "I assume everyone has seen the broadcast," she said. "We have seen it," said the President of the United States. His face was serious, but there was something in his eyes that recognized, something that looked almost like excitement. "The question is what we do about it," said the Prime Minister of Japan. "I have a question first," said the general from China. His name was, and he was known for being direct. "Did anyone else find that broadcast funny?" There was a long pause. Then one by one, the leaders on the screen started to smile. Some of them started to laugh. "I thought I was going crazy," said the President of France. "My advisors are all panicking, and I could not stop smiling." "It is because we have seen this before," said. Her voice was thoughtful. "Not aliens, of course, but threats, invasions, enemies who thought they could destroy us." "The Mongols thought they could conquer the world," said an advisor from Korea. "They came close, but they did not succeed." "Napoleon thought the same," added another voice. So did every empire that has ever risen on this planet." "And they all fell," said. "Every single one of them, because humans do not stay conquered. We fight, we resist, we survive." The meeting went on for 3 more hours. By the end, they had made a decision. They would not surrender. They would not beg for mercy. Instead, they would send a message of their own. Ambassador was chosen to deliver it. 3 days after the alien broadcast, stood in front of a camera in the United Nations building. Behind him was a large screen showing images from human history, wars, disasters, plagues, and recoveries. "High Commander," began, "I am Ambassador speaking on behalf of the planet Earth. We have received your message. We have considered your offer." He paused and took a breath. "We decline." Somewhere far out in space, aboard a massive warship, was watching the broadcast. His second-in-command, a younger named, stood beside him. "We are a young species," continued on the screen. "We have only been in space for a few hundred years. You have conquered 17 worlds. You have technology we cannot imagine. You have weapons that could probably destroy us in days." Nodded with satisfaction. Finally, these creatures were showing proper respect. "But we are not afraid of you." The alien commander's eyes narrowed. "We have survived ice ages and volcanic eruptions," said. "We have survived diseases that killed half our population. We have survived wars where we killed millions of our own kind. We have looked into the face of extinction and said, 'Not today,' so many times that we have lost count." The images behind him changed. Now they showed humans building things, cities rising from ruins, children being born in hospitals, scientists making discoveries. "You told us to be afraid," said. "But fear is a luxury we gave up long ago. We are too busy surviving to be afraid. We are too stubborn to give up. And we are too strange to predict." He leaned toward the camera. "You want our planet. Come and take it, but understand something first. We are not like those other species you conquered. We are not unified. We fight each other constantly. We lie and cheat and steal from our own people. We are messy, chaotic, and completely unreasonable." A small smile appeared on his face. "And that is exactly why you cannot beat us. You have rules, you have structure, you have a plan. We do not. We make it up as we go along. We change our minds halfway through. We do things that make no logical sense." Behind him, the screen showed a clip from a war movie. Soldiers charging into impossible odds. People celebrating even in the middle of disaster. "Your 17 conquered worlds probably surrendered because it was the smart thing to do," said. "They probably calculated their chances and decided they could not win. That is the reasonable response." His smile grew wider. "But we are not reasonable. We never have been. We will fight you with everything we have. We will lose many battles. You will probably destroy many of our cities, but we will keep fighting. We will hide. We will resist. We will make you regret every single day that you decided to mess with us." In his warship felt something he had not felt in many years. It was a small, cold feeling in his stomach. He had conquered species that were smarter than humans, stronger than humans, more advanced than humans. But none of them had ever looked at him like this. None of them had ever smiled. "So come," said, "we are waiting. We have been preparing for a fight like this since we first looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there. We did not know if we would find friends or enemies, but we knew we would find something." He straightened his back and lifted his chin. "And now that you are here, we finally have an enemy we can all agree on. Do you understand what that means? For the first time in human history, we are completely united. You have done what no leader on Earth could ever do. You have given us a common enemy." The broadcast was ending, had one more thing to say. "High Commander, I want to thank you. Thank you for the warning. Thank you for the 1 week to prepare. And thank you for giving humanity something it has always wanted." He paused. "A good fight." The screen went dark. In his command center stood very still. Around him, his officers were silent. They had expected fear. They had expected begging. They had expected the same response they always got. "Sir," said quietly, "what are your orders?" Did not answer immediately. He was thinking about that smile, that confident, almost cheerful smile on the human ambassador's face. "These creatures are insane," he finally said. "Yes, sir," agreed. "They should be terrified." "Yes, sir." "They are laughing at us." Hesitated. "I believe they are, sir." Turned away from the screen. His mind was working, trying to understand these strange beings. He had faced desperate enemies before. He had faced brave enemies. But he had never faced enemies who thought the whole situation was funny. It made him uncomfortable in a way he could not explain. "Begin the invasion as planned," he ordered, "but increase our forces by 20% and tell all commanders to expect unconventional resistance." As his orders went out across the fleet, found himself looking back at the now blank screen. The human's words echoed in his mind. "A good fight." The High Commander of the Empire, conqueror of 17 worlds, destroyer of civilizations, had a terrible feeling that these humans were actually looking forward to this. And that worried him more than anything. High Commander could not sleep. For the first time in his long military career, he lay awake in his quarters thinking about an enemy, not planning how to defeat them, just thinking. The human's words kept playing in his head. That smile, that laugh, it made no sense. When the ship's night cycle ended, went directly to the research section of his vessel. This was where his analysts studied enemy civilizations before invasions. They learned languages, customs, and weaknesses. The lead analyst was a young named. When entered the room, stood up quickly from his workstation. "High Commander," he said, "I was not expecting you." "Tell me about the humans," said. He did not sit down. "Everything you know." Nodded and turned to his screens. Data and images began to appear. "Humans are a carbon-based species," began. "They evolved on the third planet of their solar system approximately 300,000 years ago. They developed agriculture about 12,000 years ago, writing about 5,000 years ago, and space travel about 400 years ago." "That is basic information," said. "I want to know why they are not afraid." Paused, he looked uncomfortable. "Sir, I have been studying that question since we received their response. I believe I have found the answer, but you will not like it." "Show me." Pulled up a series of images on the main screen. They were historical records from Earth. Paintings, photographs, videos. "This is what humans call the Black Death," said. "A disease that spread across their planet approximately 700 years ago. It killed between 30 and 60% of their total population in Europe alone. Looked at the images, bodies in the streets, mass graves, entire cities empty. After this disaster, continued, humans did not collapse, they rebuilt. They developed better medicine, they grew stronger. The images changed. These are what humans call the world wars, said. Two massive conflicts in the 20th century of their calendar. The first one killed about 20 million people. The second one killed about 70 million. Studied the images, trenches filled with soldiers, cities burning, mushroom clouds rising over destroyed landscapes. Again, said, they rebuilt. Each time they came back stronger, more advanced, more determined. Many species have survived disasters, said. That does not explain their reaction to us. Sir, there is more. His voice was quiet, much more. He pulled up another set of images. These were different. They showed humans fighting each other in countless different ways. Swords, guns, bombs, chemicals. In their recorded history, said, humans have been at peace for less than 300 years total. The rest of the time they have been fighting. Wars between nations. Wars between religions, wars between ideas. They have never stopped fighting. Said nothing, he just watched. They invented weapons capable of destroying their entire planet, continued. Nuclear weapons, they call them. They built enough to kill everyone on Earth many times over, and they did not use them, not because they could not, but because they chose not to. That shows they have some wisdom, said. Or it shows they are comfortable with danger, replied. Sir, these creatures have lived with the possibility of extinction for their entire modern history. Every day they wake up knowing that their world could end, and they do not let it stop them. The analyst pulled up one more set of data. This showed graphs and numbers. This is their psychology research, said. Humans have a concept called dark humor. When they are in terrible situations, they make jokes. They laugh at death. They find the idea of their own destruction funny. Remembered the ambassador's smile. That made more sense now, but it was still disturbing. It is a survival mechanism, explained. They use laughter to cope with fear, to face impossible situations. When everything is terrible, they find something to laugh about. It helps them keep going. So they are laughing at us because they are afraid. Shook his head. No, sir. They are laughing at us because they genuinely think this is funny. They have faced so many threats to their existence that one more does not scare them. To them, we are just another problem to solve. Was silent for a long moment. He had conquered species that were ancient when humans were still living in caves. He had defeated civilizations with technology so advanced they could reshape stars, but he had never met a species like this. Is there anything else? He asked. Hesitated. There is one more thing, sir. Something I found in their cultural records. They have a phrase. They use it when they want to express defiance, when they want to say they will not give up no matter what. What is the phrase? Come and take it. His eyes narrowed. I do not understand. It is an old phrase from their history. When enemies demanded their surrender, this was their response. It means they would rather fight to the last person than give up. They have been saying it for thousands of years. The High Commander turned and walked toward the door. Then he stopped. He said without turning around, in all your research, have you found any species like this? Any civilization that responded to overwhelming force with laughter? No, sir, none. Then we are in unknown territory. Left the room. He needed to think about what he had learned. 2 days later, the fleet arrived in Earth's solar system. They came out of faster-than-light travel near the orbit of Mars. 200 warships, each one larger than any vessel humans had ever built. On Earth, the detection system saw them immediately. Within minutes, every government knew the invasion had begun. In a military bunker deep under Seoul, General was looking at the tactical displays. The enemy ships appeared as red dots, slowly moving toward Earth. "There are a lot of them," his aide said. The young officer's name was Ho, and he was trying very hard to stay calm. "Yes," agreed, "more than we expected. Our ships cannot match them in combat. Their technology is too advanced." "I know." Ho looked at his general. "Sir, do you have a plan?" Smiled. It was the same kind of smile Ambassador had shown in his broadcast. "We always have a plan," he said. "Actually, we have 17 plans, and if none of those work, we will make up a new one." The general turned to face his command staff. They were all watching him, waiting for orders. "Listen carefully," said. "We cannot win a direct fight against this enemy. Their ships are stronger, their weapons are more powerful, and they have more soldiers than we do. If we fight fair, we will lose." He paused. "So we will not fight fair." Around the table, the officers nodded. This was what they had trained for, not fighting aliens specifically, but fighting enemies with greater resources. Humans had been doing that for their entire history. "We are going to use everything we have," continued. "Every trick, every deception, every dirty tactic our species has ever invented. These aliens think they know what war is. They have no idea." On the main screen, a communication request appeared. It was from the flagship. "They want to talk," Ho said. "Of course they do," replied. "They want to give us one more chance to surrender. Play the message." The screen changed to show High Commander. His gray face was as stern as before, but there was something different in his eyes, something uncertain. "People of Earth," said, "you have seen our fleet, you know you cannot defeat us. This is your final opportunity to surrender peacefully. If you refuse, we will begin our attack. Many of your people will die. Your cities will burn. Your civilization will end. Choose wisely." The message ended. Everyone in the room looked at General. The general thought for a moment. Then he turned to his communications officer. "Send a reply," he said. "Just 4 words." "What 4 words, sir?" Smile grew wider. "Come and take it." The message was sent. Throughout the fleet, commanders received it. Most of them did not understand the reference, but did. He had read about this phrase in research. "They are really going to fight," said in disbelief. "Against a fleet of 200 warships. They must be insane." "Perhaps," said, "or perhaps they know something we do not." He gave the order to advance. The war had begun. On Earth, people prepared for what was coming, but they did not prepare the way they expected. They did not hide in fear. They did not cry or panic or try to flee. Instead, they did something strange. In Seoul, a grandmother named Soon stood on her balcony and watched the sky. Her granddaughter, a teenager named, stood beside her. "Are you scared, grandmother?" asked. Soon shook her head. "I lived through the Korean division. I lived through wars and dictators and diseases. I have been scared many times in my life. This is just one more thing." "But they are aliens. They have spaceships." "And we have something better." Soon smiled at her granddaughter. "We have each other. We have been fighting for survival since the first human picked up a rock and decided to build something. We will not stop now." All over the planet, similar conversations were happening. Old people telling young people not to be afraid, parents comforting children, friends encouraging friends. And everywhere there was laughter, not the laughter of madness or despair, the laughter of people who had faced impossible odds before and won. In the research section of the flagship was monitoring Earth's communications. What he heard confused him deeply. "Sir," he reported to, "they are telling jokes." "What kind of jokes?" "About us, sir. About the invasion. They are making fun of our appearance, our ships, our threats. They have already created something they call memes about High Commander." Did not know what memes were, and he did not want to know. "There is more," continued. "Their military is mobilizing, but so is their civilian population. Factories are increasing production. Scientists are sharing research openly. Artists are creating propaganda. Everyone is contributing. That is normal war preparation, said. No, sir, you do not understand. They are not just preparing to defend themselves. They are preparing to fight back. They are building weapons, planning counterattacks, developing new technologies. In the 3 days since we arrived, they have already created new defense systems based on information from our own broadcasts. Looked alarmed. They learned from watching us. Yes, they studied our ship formations, our communication frequencies, our apparent weapon systems. They are very fast learners. Felt that cold feeling in his stomach again. He had expected humans to panic, to make mistakes, to collapse under the pressure of his overwhelming force. Instead, they were adapting. Begin the attack, he ordered. Hit their major military bases first. Show them we are serious. The first strike came 12 hours later. 3 warships descended on a military installation in the Pacific Ocean. Their weapons were powerful enough to destroy the base in seconds. But when they arrived, the base was empty. Not abandoned, just empty of people. All they destroyed were buildings and equipment. The humans had moved. In the 12 hours between the order and the attack, they had evacuated everyone and everything important. The aliens destroyed nothing but concrete and metal. And when the ships pulled back, they found a message waiting for them on their own frequencies. Somehow, the humans had figured out how to send signals to the alien communication systems. The message was simple. It said, "You missed." Stared at the message for a long time. Then he did something he had not done in decades. He laughed. It was a small, bitter laugh, but it was real. These creatures, he said to himself, these strange, impossible creatures. He was beginning to understand. Humans were not brave despite their fear. They were not strong despite their weakness. They were something else entirely, something he had never encountered before. They were survivors, true survivors, the kind of species that had faced extinction so many times that they no longer knew how to give up. The kind of species that would keep fighting even when there was no hope left. And the most dangerous thing about them was not their weapons or their technology or their numbers. It was their attitude. They really did think this was going to be a good fight. Looked at the tactical display showing his fleet and the small blue planet below. For the first time in his career, he wondered if he had made a mistake. But it was too late to turn back now. The war had begun, and there was only one way forward. He just hoped he would survive it. The colony on Mars was called New. It had been built 40 years ago, starting as a small research station and growing into a city of 50,000 people. The colonists had worked hard to make the red planet feel like home. They had gardens under glass domes, schools, hospitals, and even a small sports stadium. Now it was about to become a colony leader stood in the command center, watching the screens. 3 warships were approaching. They would arrive in less than 2 hours. "Sir, we should begin evacuation," his second-in-command said. Her name was, and she had been born on Mars. She had never seen Earth except in pictures. "Evacuate to where?" asked. "The nearest safe location is the asteroid belt colonies. That is a 3-week journey. We do not have time." "Then what do we do?" Turned to face his people. In the command center there were 30 men and women. Engineers, scientists, administrators, not soldiers. None of them had ever been in a real fight. "We have 2 choices," said. "We can wait here and hope the aliens show us mercy, or we can fight." A young engineer named Jin raised his hand. "Sir, with respect, how do we fight spaceships with?" "Nothing. We have no weapons. We are a mining colony." Smiled. "We have something better than weapons. We have miners." The colonists looked at each other in confusion. "For 40 years," continued, "we have been digging into this planet. We have drills that can cut through solid rock. We have explosives for mining. We have vehicles designed to work in the worst conditions imaginable. And we have people who know every tunnel, every cave, every hole in the ground within 100 kilometers. He pulled up a map on the main screen. It showed the colony and the surrounding area. There were hundreds of tunnels going in every direction. The aliens have big ships and powerful weapons, said, but they have to land to take this colony, and when they land they will be in our territory, our home, our ground. Was starting to understand. You want to use the tunnels. I want to use everything. The tunnels, the mining equipment, the terrain. These aliens have never fought on Mars. They do not know the dust storms or the temperature changes or the low gravity, but we do. For the next 2 hours, New transformed. The colonists did not run or hide. They prepared. Mining drills were moved into position. Explosive charges were placed at strategic locations. Tunnels were checked and reinforced. Every person who could work was given a job. Even the children helped. They carried supplies and delivered messages. A 12-year-old girl named Sarah became the unofficial coordinator for the tunnel system, memorizing every route and passage. When the ships arrived, they found something they did not expect. The colony appeared empty. No signals, no lights, no movement. The glass domes were dark. Commander Vex led the landing party. He was an experienced officer who had participated in many conquests. When his shuttle touched down outside the main dome, he felt confident. "Spread out," he ordered his soldiers. "Search every building. These humans must be hiding somewhere." 100 troops moved into the colony. They were tall, strong, and heavily armed. Their armor could stop most weapons known in the galaxy. They feared nothing. The first explosion caught them by surprise. It came from beneath the ground. A mining charge, detonated by remote control, opened a hole in the street. 3 soldiers fell into it, disappearing into the darkness below. Vex shouted orders. His troops formed defensive positions, weapons ready, but they did not know where to aim. The attack had come from underground. Then the lights went out. Not just the street lights, everything. The power generators for the entire area shut down at once. In the thin atmosphere of Mars there was no sound, just darkness and silence. They had night vision in their helmets. They activated it, and the world turned into shades of green and gray, but they still could not see the enemy. "Where are they?" one soldier asked. His voice was nervous. The answer came from everywhere at once. Mining machines burst out of the ground. They were not designed for combat, but at close range, a drill designed to cut through solid rock could do terrible things to alien armor. The colonists drove them. Regular people, engineers and miners and teachers, operating the heavy equipment they used every day. They knew these machines perfectly. They knew exactly what they could do. Vex watched in horror as his squad was attacked from below, from the sides, from everywhere. The humans came out of tunnels he had not known existed. They struck fast and then disappeared again. "Fall back," he ordered. "Get to the shuttles." But the shuttles were already gone. While his troops were searching the colony, another group of humans had stolen them. They had used the low gravity to jump onto the landing pads, overpowered the small guard crews, and flown the shuttles into one of the larger hangars. Vex found himself alone on the Martian surface, watching his invasion force collapse. In the underground command center, monitored the battle. The news was good, better than he had expected. "We have captured 63 enemy soldiers," reported. "Another 40 are confirmed eliminated. The rest are scattered and confused. Casualties on our side. 7 injuries, none serious. No death so far." Allowed himself a moment of relief. They were winning. Against an enemy that had conquered 17 worlds, a colony of miners was winning. "Do not get overconfident," he warned. "This is only the first wave. They will send more." He was right. Within 6 hours, they brought down a larger force. This time, they did not make the same mistakes. They bombed the colony from orbit first, destroying many of the glass domes and filling the tunnels with dust and debris. When they landed, they came in greater numbers, 500 soldiers with heavy weapons and armored vehicles. But the colonists had adapted too. They had moved deeper underground. They had set more traps. They had learned from the first battle and made improvements. Jin, the young engineer, had spent the time between attacks building something special. Using parts from mining equipment and stolen alien technology, he had created a weapon. It was ugly and rough, but it worked. It could fire projectiles fast enough to penetrate armor. "I call it the ugly baby," Jin said when he showed it to, "because it is loud, messy, and very annoying to the enemy." Laughed. It was the first time he had laughed since the invasion began. "Make more," he said. The second battle was harder. The colonists lost people this time. A woman named died protecting a tunnel entrance. An older man named was killed when a section of ceiling collapsed. A teenager whose name nobody knew threw herself on an explosive to save a group of children. But they did not give up. They kept fighting. And slowly, incredibly, they started to win again. The commander on the ground sent increasingly desperate reports to the orbiting ships. His soldiers were being picked off one by one. Every time they thought they had found the human base, it turned out to be another trap. The humans seemed to know the ground better than any native species that had ever fought. "Request orbital bombardment," the commander finally said. "Destroy the entire area. Kill them all." On the flagship, High Commander considered the request. He could do it. He could turn that section of Mars into a crater and end this embarrassing resistance. But something stopped him. "How many soldiers have we lost?" he asked. "Nearly 400, sir," reported, "against a colony of civilians, miners and families." Was quiet for a long moment. "If we destroy them from orbit," he said slowly, "we admit that we could not beat them on the ground, that a group of miners with improvised weapons defeated the Empire's landing forces. Sir, they are just humans. No one will blame us for using our full power." "I will blame us," turned away from the screen. "Send more troops, as many as we need. We will take that colony properly, or we will not take it at all." The battle for Nu lasted 9 days. 9 days of fighting in tunnels and craters. 9 days of explosions and gunfire and desperate struggles in the dark. 9 days of humans doing impossible things against impossible odds. In the end, they took the colony. They had to. They had more soldiers, more weapons, more everything, but the cost was terrible. 2,000 soldiers died taking a mining colony. 2,000 of the Empire's finest warriors, killed by people who had never held weapons before this week. And the humans, most of them survived. On the 7th day, when it became clear they could not win, had ordered an evacuation. Using the tunnels, the colonists escaped to emergency shelters hidden in the mountains. They took their wounded, their children, and as many supplies as they could carry. When they finally broke through the last defenses, they found an empty base. Again. Left a message on the main screen of the command center. It was a video of him, tired and bloody but still smiling. "Congratulations," he said in the recording. "You took our home. You killed some of our people, but you did not break us. We are still here. We are still fighting. And we will take this colony back one day. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day." He paused. "Thank you for the weapons, by the way. Your soldiers were very generous. We now have enough technology to study for years. Our scientists are going to have a lot of fun taking your toys apart." The message ended with waving goodbye. On the flagship, watched the message 3 times. He did not know what to feel. "Sir," said quietly, "I have analyzed the battle data. The humans invented 17 new tactical methods during the fighting. They adapted faster than any species I have ever studied, and they shared their innovations with their other colonies in real time." "What does that mean?" It means that every human military base now knows exactly how we fight. They know our weaknesses, our patterns, our technology. The next battle will be even harder. Closed his eyes. How many human colonies are there? In their solar system, 47. On their home planet, over 1,000 separate military installations. Did the math in his head. If every colony fought like new, if every base resisted with the same determination, the conquest of humanity would take years, decades, and the cost would be unimaginable. Sir was waiting for orders. We continue the campaign, said. His voice was tired. But I want every commander to study what happened at Nu. Every soldier needs to understand what they are facing. He opened his eyes and looked at the red planet on his screen. These humans are not going to surrender, he said. They are not going to run. They are going to fight us for every centimeter of ground, and they are going to laugh while they do it. Far away in a mountain shelter on Mars, and his surviving colonists were resting. They had lost their homes. They had lost friends. They had lost almost everything. But they were alive, and they were not done fighting. Young Sora, the girl who had memorized all the tunnels, sat next to. Her face was dirty and tired, but her eyes were bright. What happens now? She asked. Looked at the people around him. Miners, engineers, teachers, parents, children. Regular people who had become warriors in 9 days. Now, he said, now we wait, we train. We build new weapons with the alien technology we captured, and when the time is right, we take our home back. Sora nodded seriously. Good, I liked our home, I want it back. Laughed, it was a tired laugh but a real one. Somewhere above them, in the darkness of space, the fleet was regrouping for its next attack. They had won the first battle, but they knew the truth. This war was just beginning. And the humans were only getting started. Admiral had spent 30 years in Earth Space Forces. She had served on every type of ship, from small patrol vessels to massive carriers. She had fought pirates, stopped asteroid disasters, and once talked down a rogue mining crew that had threatened to crash their ship into a space station. But she had never fought a real war, not like this. Standing on the bridge of her flagship, the Soul, she looked at the tactical display. The fleet was massive. 150 warships remained after the losses at Nu and other colonies. Each one was larger and more powerful than anything humanity had ever built. Earth's fleet had 47 ships. All of them were smaller, all of them were weaker. On paper, there was no way to win. Smiled. What do you see? She asked her first officer, a tall man named Wu. Wu studied the display. I see a very large enemy fleet that outguns us completely. And I see an opportunity. Nodded, she had trained Wu well. They have won every battle they have ever fought, she said. They expect to win this one too. They think we will run or surrender or try to negotiate. They are not prepared for what we are going to do. What are we going to do, Admiral? We are going to make them very uncomfortable. The battle began 3 hours later. As expected, the fleet advanced in perfect formation. Their ships moved together like parts of a machine, precise and coordinated. Earth's fleet did the opposite. Ordered her ships to scatter. They broke formation and flew in seemingly random directions. Some went high above the plane of the battle. Others dove low. They spun and twisted and moved in ways that made no tactical sense. On the flagship, watched in confusion. What are they doing? He asked. This is not any battle formation I recognize. They appear to be fleeing in disorder, suggested. No, look at their engines. They are at full power. They are not fleeing. They are dancing. It was the only word that fit. The human ships were weaving and spinning like performers in some strange show. They moved together in a pattern that was almost beautiful, but also completely unpredictable. Then the music started. Every communication channel in the battle zone suddenly filled with sound. It was human music, Loud, energetic, aggressive music with heavy drums and screaming guitars. "What is this noise?" demanded. "It appears to be a cultural art form," explained. "Humans call it rock and roll, or possibly metal. I am not certain of the exact classification." "Turn it off." "I cannot, sir. They are broadcasting on every frequency. The only way to avoid it is to cut all communications." Which they could not do. Without communications, the fleet could not coordinate its attacks. So they fought their battle with human music blasting in their ears. Admiral had planned this carefully. The music was not just a distraction. It was a message. It told the enemy that humans were not afraid, that they were treating this battle like a game, that they were having fun. "First attack group, begin your run," ordered. Her voice was calm despite the chaos around her. 15 human ships suddenly came together, forming a tight group. They accelerated toward the nearest warship at maximum speed. The enemy ship opened fire. Its weapons were powerful enough to destroy any human vessel in seconds, but the human ships were small and fast, and they kept changing direction. Many shots missed completely. Others hit shields and glanced off. The human ships got close, very close, then they launched their weapons. The missiles were small. The ship's defense systems ignored them as no threat. That was a mistake. The missiles were not designed to penetrate armor. They were designed to stick to it. They attached themselves to the enemy hull in dozens of places. Then they exploded, not in big explosions but in small, precise ones. They did not destroy the ship. They damaged its sensors, its weapons, its engines. They turned a powerful warship into a blind, crippled target. "What just happened?" demanded as one of his largest ships went dark on the tactical display. "Some kind of new weapon," reported. "Small explosive devices. They are not powerful enough to destroy our ships, but they are disabling them." "How many of these weapons do the humans have?" "Unknown, sir, but they are launching more." All across the battle zone, human ships were making similar attacks. They would swarm an enemy vessel, dodging its fire with their superior speed, plant their weapons, and then retreat before the damage was done. It was not a winning strategy, not in the long term. The humans were taking losses too. Ships were being destroyed. People were dying. But for every human ship lost, a warship was damaged or disabled. And the music never stopped. On the Soul, Admiral watched her people fight. They were doing things that should have been impossible. Pilots were making maneuvers that pushed their ships to the breaking point. Engineers were keeping damaged vessels running with improvised repairs. Crews were working together with perfect coordination despite the chaos. "Admiral," Wu reported, "we have lost 12 ships. Enemy casualties are 22 disabled, 5 destroyed." "Not enough. We need to hurt them more." "What do you suggest?" Looked at the tactical display. The formation had broken down as they tried to deal with the swarming human attacks. Ships were scattered across the battle zone. "Do you see the flagship?" she asked. "Yes, Admiral. It is separated from its support ships. If we could get close enough." "Admiral, that is suicide. Their flagship has more firepower than our entire fleet." "I know," smiled. "That is why they will not expect us to try it." She opened a channel to her fleet. "All ships, listen carefully. We are going to do something stupid. I want groups 1 through 4 to continue harassment operations. Keep the enemy busy. Group 5, you are with me. We are going to say hello to High Commander." There were cheers on the communication channels. Her crews understood what she was planning. They knew it was crazy, and they loved it. Group 5 was made up of 8 ships, 7 frigates and the Soul. Together, they changed course and accelerated toward the flagship. On the enemy ship, watch them come. "They are attacking us directly," said. 8 ships against our flagship. It is madness." "Perhaps," replied. "Or perhaps they know something we do not. Increase power to forward shields, prepare all weapons." The human ships came closer and closer. They were not trying to dodge or weave this time. They were flying in a straight line directly at the flagship. Gave the order to fire. The flagship's main weapons unleashed their power. 3 human frigates were destroyed instantly, vaporized by energy beams hot enough to melt metal. But the other ships kept coming. Another 2 frigates were hit. One exploded. The other lost power and drifted, crippled. Still the humans came. Felt that cold feeling in his stomach again. These creatures were insane. They were flying directly into certain death, and they were not stopping. Were they planning to ram his ship? It would do little damage, but the psychological impact would be enormous. "They are not slowing down," said. His voice was worried. "Sir, they are not slowing down." The 3 remaining ships, including the Soul, were seconds away from collision. The flagship's weapons fired again and again, but at this range it was impossible to miss the huge target. And at this range, the small human ships were inside the optimal firing zone. Then, at the last possible moment, the human ships split apart. They did not ram. They flew past the flagship, so close that they almost scraped its hull. As they passed, they released everything they had. Missiles, bombs, even physical objects thrown out of airlocks. Everything was targeted at one specific point on the enemy ship. The engineering section. The explosion was not enough to destroy the flagship, but it was enough to damage its main engines. The massive ship shuddered and began to drift. "Engine failure," an officer shouted. "We are losing power." Grabbed a console to keep his balance as the ship rocked. On the tactical display, he watched the 3 human ships fly away, their mission complete. The Soul was badly damaged. It was leaking atmosphere and 2 of its engine pods were destroyed, but it was still flying. And as it retreated, Admiral opened a communication channel. "Hi, Commander," she said. Her voice was calm and pleasant, as if she was calling an old friend. "I hope you do not mind me dropping by. I wanted to introduce myself. I am Admiral and I will be your opponent for this war." Did not respond. He was too busy trying to save his ship. "I look forward to our next meeting," continued. "Until then, enjoy the music. I picked the playlist myself." The channel closed. The music continued. It took 4 hours to repair the flagship's engines. During that time, the human fleet continued its harassment attacks. By the time his ship was mobile again, he had lost 31 vessels and another 20 were damaged. The humans had lost 19 ships, but those were ships they could afford to lose. They could not replace their losses easily. They were far from home, and every ship destroyed was a ship that would not be replaced. That night in his quarters, reviewed the battle data. The numbers told a disturbing story. At this rate of loss, the fleet would be destroyed before they could take Earth. They would run out of ships before the humans ran out of tricks. "Sir," reported, "I have been monitoring human communications. They are celebrating." "Of course they are." "No, sir, you do not understand. They are not celebrating victory. They are celebrating the battle itself. They are sharing stories of brave acts and clever tactics. They are making jokes about us." Closed his eyes. "What kind of jokes?" "There is one that is very popular. It asks why ships are so slow. The answer is that they are weighed down by all the ego." Despite everything, almost smiled. It was a terrible joke, but there was something almost admirable about a species that made jokes in the middle of a war they were losing. "The humans have a concept," continued. "They call it morale. It is the emotional state of a fighting force. High morale makes soldiers fight harder and longer. Low morale makes them give up." "I know what morale is." "Sir, the humans have very high morale. Despite their losses, despite the odds against them, they believe they can win, and that belief makes them dangerous." Opened his eyes. "What about our morale?" Hesitated. "Sir, our soldiers are confused. They expected an easy conquest. They did not expect to take significant losses. Some of them are asking questions. What questions? They want to know why these humans will not surrender. They want to know why they keep laughing. They want to know if we can actually win this war. Stood up and walked to his window. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there was Earth, the small blue world he had come to conquer. They will surrender eventually, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Sir, there is one more thing. Our intelligence has intercepted a message from the human government. They have named this battle. They are calling it the First Dance. The First Dance? Yes, sir. The implication is that there will be more, many more. Was silent for a long time. Prepare the fleet for another attack, he finally said, but increase our defensive formations and tell the commanders to be ready for anything. The humans have already surprised us too many times. Yes, sir. What should I tell them about the music? Sighed, tell them to get used to it. I suspect we will be hearing a lot more of it before this war is over. Far away on the damaged Sol, Admiral was having dinner with her surviving crew. They had lost many friends today. They had come close to dying themselves, but they were alive and they had hurt the enemy. What do we do now? Wu asked. Smiled. It was the same smile she had worn throughout the battle, the same smile that Ambassador had shown in his broadcast, the same smile that humans had been wearing since the invasion began. Now, she said, now we rest, we repair, we learn from our mistakes, and then we dance with them again. She raised her glass. To the second dance, may it be even better than the first. Her crew cheered. The sound echoed through the damaged ship, out into the cold vacuum of space, toward the enemy fleet that was trying so hard to understand them. They would never understand. That was what made humans dangerous. And that was why humanity was going to win. The war lasted 18 months. In that time, humans lost many things. Cities were destroyed. Colonies were captured and then taken back. Over 2 million people died fighting or in attacks on civilian areas. The scars of the conflict would take generations to heal. But they lost more. Of the 200 warships that came to Earth, only 63 remained. The rest had been destroyed, captured, or damaged beyond repair. Thousands of soldiers had died on alien soil, far from their homes, fighting an enemy they could not understand. High Commander had aged 10 years in 18 months. His gray skin had become pale and thin. His eyes, once sharp and confident, now showed the weight of countless battles and defeats. He had won some victories. He had taken colonies and cities. He had killed many humans, but for every success there were 3 failures. The humans adapted faster than he could plan. They invented new weapons, new tactics, new strategies every week. They turned his own technology against him. They refused to give up, no matter how many times he beat them. And they never stopped laughing. That was what broke him in the end. Not the losses, not the deaths, the laughter. He would destroy a human position, and the survivors would cheer as they retreated. He would capture a colony, and the prisoners would tell jokes about him to his face. He would announce victories on his communication systems, and humans would respond with funny pictures and mocking songs. They treated the war like a game, like entertainment, like something to enjoy. It drove him insane. On the day he finally requested peace talks, was sitting alone in his quarters. The latest reports were on his desk. His fleet was running out of supplies. His soldiers were exhausted and demoralized. His government back home was asking questions about why the conquest was taking so long. He picked up his communicator and contacted the emperor directly. "Your Majesty," he said, "I must speak honestly." The emperor's face appeared on his screen. He was old even by standards. His eyes were cold and distant. "Speak," the emperor said. "We cannot win this war, not with our current forces, perhaps not with any forces. The humans are unlike anything we have ever faced. They are chaotic, unpredictable, and absolutely unwilling to surrender. If we continue fighting, we will lose everything." There was a long silence. "You are asking me to retreat," the Emperor said. "The Empire has never retreated." "Then we will add that to the list of things humans have made us do for the first time." Another silence, waited for the order to continue fighting, for the demand that he die trying, for the accusation of cowardice. Instead, the Emperor nodded. "Request peace talks," he said. "See what terms they will offer, but be careful. These humans are dangerous. They may ask for things we cannot give." The message went out that same day. The Empire officially requested negotiations to end the war. The response came within hours. The humans agreed to talk. They chose a neutral location, a space station at the edge of the solar system built specifically for this meeting. Both sides sent small delegations. No weapons, no soldiers, just diplomats. Came himself. He wanted to see the humans face to face one more time. He wanted to understand them before he surrendered to them. The human delegation was led by a woman named. She was not young, but she was not old either. Her hair was black with streaks of gray. Her eyes were warm and intelligent. She walked into the meeting room with a small smile on her face. Recognized that smile. He had seen it on every human he had fought. "High Commander," said, "thank you for agreeing to meet." "Thank you for not attacking my ship on the way here," replied. "I was not certain your people could resist the temptation." Laughed. It was a gentle laugh, not mocking or cruel. "We considered it," she admitted, "but we decided that peace was more important than one more victory." They sat down across from each other. His delegation included and had brought two others, a man named and a woman named. Recognized the names from his intelligence reports. The colony leader and the admiral, two of the humans who had hurt him most. "Before we begin," said, "I want to ask you a question. It is personal and you do not have to answer." Nodded. "Ask." "Why did you invade us? You said you wanted our resources. But there are thousands of uninhabited planets with the same resources. Why choose one that was already occupied?" Considered the question. He could lie. He could give a diplomatic answer. But after 18 months of fighting, he was too tired for games. "Because we thought it would be easy," he said. "Your species was young and weak. You had no real weapons, no experience with galactic warfare, nothing that should have made you a threat. We thought we would conquer you in weeks. And instead you taught us that we were wrong." His voice was heavy. "You showed us that strength is not just about weapons or technology. It is about will, about determination, about the refusal to accept defeat even when defeat is certain." He paused. "We have conquered many species," he continued. "Some were stronger than humans, some were smarter, some were more advanced, but none of them fought like you. None of them laughed in our faces as we destroyed their cities. None of them made jokes about us as we killed their people. You are the strangest species I have ever encountered." Nodded slowly. "We have had a lot of practice." "Practice at what?" "At survival, at facing impossible odds, at refusing to give up." She leaned forward. "High Commander, do you know what humans have done to each other over our history? The wars, the genocides, the disasters. We have nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times, but we always survived. We always rebuilt. We always found a way to keep going." "Why?" asked. "What drives you to keep fighting when there is no hope?" Smiled, that small, warm smile that was beginning to understand. "Because giving up is boring," she said. "Because surrender means the end of the story, and humans love stories. We want to see what happens next. We want to know how it ends. Even when the ending looks terrible, we want to be there for it." Was silent for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. It was a small, tired laugh, but it was real. "You are insane," he said, "all of you." "We know," replied. It is one of our best features. The negotiations lasted 3 days. In the end, the terms were surprisingly generous. They would withdraw from all human territory. They would return prisoners of war. They would provide compensation for damaged colonies. In exchange, humans would not pursue them. They would not seek revenge. They would not try to destroy the empire. Why? Asked when the final document was ready to sign. You could demand so much more. We invaded your world. We killed your people. Why are you being so kind? Picked up her pen. Because revenge is boring too, she said. We do not want to spend the next century hunting you across the galaxy. We want to explore, to build, to grow. We want to see what else is out there. Starting a new war with you would slow us down. She signed the document and pushed it across the table. Besides, she added, we might want to be friends someday. Stared at her. Friends, after everything that has happened. Why not? You have seen what we can do as enemies. Imagine what we could do as allies. The High Commander thought about it. He thought about humans fighting beside his soldiers instead of against them. He thought about human creativity and human stubbornness and human laughter supporting the empire instead of tearing it apart. The idea was terrifying and exciting and completely unexpected. He signed the document. The war was over. 6 months later, the first human ambassador arrived at the home world. Her name was, and she had been born on Mars. She was young and cheerful and completely unafraid of the aliens around her. Met her at the spaceport. He had retired from the military after the war, but the Emperor had asked him to serve as a liaison to the humans, someone who understood them as much as anyone could. Welcome to our world, said. I hope you find it comfortable. Looked around at the gray buildings and the pale sky and the tall, stone-faced aliens watching her with suspicious eyes. It is very organized, she said. I like it, but it could use some color. Almost smiled. We are not known for being colorful. I noticed that is okay. We brought some with us. Behind her, other humans were unloading crates from the ship. Inside were paintings, sculptures, music players, and 100 other things that had no military or economic value, things that were just meant to be beautiful. What are these for? Asked. They are gifts, said. Art, music, stories, the things that make life worth living. We do not understand these things. You will, she smiled that human smile at him. Give us time, we will teach you. Over the next few years, something strange happened. The empire began to change. Humans came to their worlds as traders, artists, teachers, and tourists. They brought their music and their movies and their jokes. They taught children how to play games. They showed scientists new ways of thinking. They made friends with creatures who had once been their enemies. And slowly, incredibly, they began to laugh. It started small. A young worker smiling at a human joke, a soldier chuckling at a funny picture, an old grandmother laughing at a children's story. But it grew. Laughter spread through the empire like a gentle disease. Not everyone caught it, but enough did to change things. Watched it happen from his retirement home in the capital city. He spent his days reading human books and listening to human music. He had developed a particular fondness for something called jazz. One day came to visit him. The young analyst had become a cultural researcher, studying the human phenomenon. Sir, said, I finally understand why we lost the war. Looked up from his book, tell me. It was not their weapons or their tactics or their determination. Those were all important, but the real reason was simpler. What was it? Sat down across from his former commander. They enjoyed it, he said. The fighting, the struggling, the surviving, they actually enjoyed it. Not the killing or the destruction, but the challenge, the test, the game. Nodded slowly. I realized that too eventually. We did not enjoy our conquests, continued. We did them because it was our duty, because the Empire demanded it. We were never happy, we were just successful. And now, smiled, it was a small, uncertain smile, a smile he had learned from watching humans. Now I think I am starting to understand happiness, he said. It is confusing and strange and completely illogical. But I like it. Laughed. It was still an unfamiliar sound coming from but it was becoming more common every day. Far away, on Earth, Ambassador was giving a speech at the memorial for the war dead. 2 million names were carved into the walls of the monument. 2 million humans who had died defending their world. We won this war, said to the crowd. But we did not win it with weapons or strategies or superior technology. We won it with something much simpler. He paused. We won it by being ourselves, by refusing to give up, by laughing in the face of death, by showing the galaxy that humanity cannot be conquered, cannot be broken, cannot be made to surrender. He looked at the names on the wall. These people died so that we could keep being who we are. Strange, chaotic, unpredictable humans who treat the apocalypse like a minor inconvenience. They gave their lives so that we could keep laughing. He turned back to the crowd. So let us laugh, let us celebrate, let us enjoy the life they fought to protect, and let us never, ever forget that the best weapon humanity has is not a bomb or a missile or a fleet of warships. He smiled, that famous smile that had started it all. It is our refusal to take anything too seriously, even death, even defeat, even the end of the world. The crowd cheered and laughed and celebrated. Somewhere far away, across the vast reaches of space, they were watching, and for the first time in their history they understood. Humanity was not strong because of what they could do. They were strong because of who they were. And the galaxy would never be the same.